welcome to Veterans Voices. I'm Emily Burris. Thanks for joining me as we celebrate veterans here at home and across the country. We begin tonight with one of the most pressing issues facing veterans today, mental health. For some, a service dog can be life-changing. A local organization helping to train dogs for veterans got a big boost this year as people rappelled down one of the tallest buildings in Portland. I got the chance to experience a thrilling adventure for a wonderful cause. A daring step.
All the way straight with your legs. That's it, perfect. All right, take a deep breath. You got this, Emily.
Over the edge. This summer, Portlanders rappelled for purpose down the U.S. Bancorp Tower, better known as Big Pink.
It energizes people. What we're really doing is raising money for Northwest Battle Buddies.
Organizer Mike Mayer says rappellers had to raise at least $2,000 to take part in the event.
We're a nonprofit organization that provides professionally trained service dogs to veterans with PTSD at no cost to them.
Veterans like Ryan Davis.
I was a sergeant with the Army's 101st Airborne Division. I served 2 deployments in Iraq.
His valor earned him a Purple Heart, but wounds of war, including a traumatic brain injury, meant life as he knew it was forever changed.
4 years ago when I started this program, I never would have done anything like I'm doing right now.
Sure.
And sitting here and talking to you. I had every calling card of the veteran in distress, socially withdrawn, chronically anxious, down. And I just, didn't feel like I was in control of my life. You feel lost and, like you're not yourself anymore. You don't have control of your life. And a program like this, getting paired with a service dog like Twitch, really brings balance to that and can allow you to feel like you do have control in your life again. And you can, feel a sense of happiness and, move forward with the things that you want to do and not feel so lost.
His service dog, Twitch, underwent months of training, learning how to wake Davis up from a nightmare and help him stay calm and focused in daily life.
But we see it every day, and it's a life-changing experience for our veterans. They go on to live their life with freedom and independence, regaining their value in society.
Training a service dog isn't cheap.
It costs us $25,000 to have a dog ready to be paired with our veterans. So that's a lot of money, and we couldn't do it without the outreach of the community.
Which brings us back to Big Pink.
So good.
A quick training indoors.
So this is your main device. This is what's going to get you down.
Now I just have to pretend like I'm over 500 feet off the ground.
And then it's time to strap in.
Walk your feet back until your heels are over the edge.
Okay.
Ready for this?
Oh my gosh. The things we do for live TV, This is awesome! But what an incredible view of Portland. Now that I've been up here for a couple minutes, the nerves are kicking in a little bit, and I'm getting a little shakier, and my hands are shaking a little bit, which makes it a little harder to hold the rope. But I really don't have anywhere else to go besides down. Woo! You're down?
I know.
High five, well done.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and a chance to change the life of a local veteran.
As you know, when they come back, they have invisible wounds of war, and there's no cure to PTSD yet, and so a service dog helps them navigate life.
So they make a really big impact, and it's changed my life for the better.
This year's event raised close to $100,000, and they hope to bring it back again next year. If you'd like to learn more about Northwest Battle Buddies, visit coin.com. And if you or a veteran you know is struggling with post-traumatic stress, help is out there. Confidential support is available 24/7 from the Veterans Crisis Line. Just dial 988 and press 1. You can also text 838-255. A caddy at a world-class golf resort right here in Oregon is helping veterans find a new career after life in the military. The Bandon Dunes Looper founded Loops for Troops. Jeremy Hubbard has more.
This way. Okay, here we go.
What do Afghanistan, Iraq, and the golf course have in common?
Oh, that's not good.
This caddy, whose life has been changed by all 3 places.
A lot of people get out of service and then they find themselves lost, or they just don't have that motivation or that connection that they used to have.
Michael Pappas served 14 years in the Army, including 5 combat deployments.
I did 1 to Iraq, 3 to Afghanistan, and 1 to Syria.
Injuries forced him out of the service. And around that time, he rediscovered his lifelong love of golf, began caddying at some of the most well-known golf resorts in the country, and realized the healing effects the game could have on him and other war veterans who were making the difficult transition back to civilian life.
So number 1 is bringing veterans together through the game of golf.
That's when an idea was born. Mike and 2 of his veteran friends recently founded a charity called Loops for Troops.
Looper was specifically the guy that would do the loop with the golfer. Traditional golf courses used to be 9 holes out and 9 holes back. So you would do that loop, and the guy that was carrying your bag and giving you all the information was the looper.
Their nonprofit aims to thoroughly train veterans in an intensive course over a few weeks and get them ready for a potential new profession as a golf caddy, with the ultimate goal of helping place them in jobs at courses around the country.
Hey, maybe you enjoy golf. Why don't you come learn something new and see if you like it? Even if they go for a season or 2 seasons, they may meet the person that can drive them to their next profession.
While most golfers likely find frustration out here on the course, Pappas finds purpose. It may seem a world away from a war zone, but if you ask him, the lessons learned there definitely apply here too.
We used to do physical exercise. We like being outdoors, most of the veterans. And so getting them back outdoors and seeing this beautiful scenery and being able to walk and connect with people, that's the biggest thing for me.
If you visit Bandon Dunes, Michael might be your caddy. Applications for Loops for Troops will open soon, and you can learn more on coin.com. Well, this year marked 50 years since Americans held captive during the Vietnam War were released. Zara Barker shows us how an exhibit is honoring dozens of the prisoners of war.
When you open the door to this exhibit, you're greeted by an image of some of the 591 prisoners of war leaving Vietnam, finally on their way home to their families after being in captivity for up to 8 years.
They were and still are the longest held group of POWs in our nation's history.
The exhibit, Open Doors, Vietnam POWs, 50 Years of Freedom, celebrates the lives of 30 former Vietnam prisoners of war.
We tried to capture them, their humanity, their personalities, and their life perspective.
It publicly celebrates these men, their families, their kids. It honors the sacrifices that they made, not by choice, but by force.
Captain Jack Ench is one of the 30 veterans that Jamie Halloran photographed and Taylor Keelan profiled.
Very flattered and very honored to be in this group with a bunch of these other real heroes. I don't consider myself a hero, but I served with a lot of heroes.
Captain Ench was shot down in Vietnam and held captive for 7 months. Still, he calls himself lucky.
I went through my own little crucible of hell there the first few days I was captured. I came back a little short-handed, as you see. They kept the thumb. It was injured in the explosion of the missile, and then they used that against me for 3.5, 4 days. Would not give me medical attention until I finally started answering questions.
This exhibit from this best friend duo was first displayed in 2002 at this same location. Then it traveled to 21 other venues, and for the first time in 20 years, it's back in Coronado.
When we were able to bring it back here, and I walked in and saw them being unpacked out of the boxes, I cried.
The moving photos, stories of survival, and relics from captivity.
These are original pieces that hung in the cell, but these are the rules in Vietnamese and in English of what they had to follow as POWs.
Now on display for the public for the first time in 15 years.
I just hope that this exhibit shows the value in our military and reminds people of the sacrifice that our military makes to protect our homeland.
For Veterans Voices, I'm Zara Barker.
Kansas City is home to the country's official war museum and memorial dedicated to World War I. But there are many untold stories behind the people working at the popular attraction. John Holt shows us how veterans from other conflicts and walks of life are working to carry on the memories and lessons learned in the war to end all wars.
The National World War I Museum and Memorial in Kansas City is more than just a beautiful landmark. It started as the Liberty Memorial, breaking ground in 1921, officially opening its doors in 1926. Founded by Kansas City residents, which is critical to its history.
The people of Kansas City wanted it here and raised the money to put it here, and we did it on our own without any help, and that's important.
Today, the daily operations are mostly run by volunteers. Last year, more than 530 volunteers contributed more than 57,000 hours of their time. What's even more amazing, many of them have served our country just like Army veteran Paul Frank.
Served from 1969 to 72. I was a first lieutenant.
They come from all different conflicts and walks of life. Army veteran Kevin Wharton.
I started out with the Gulf War, and I did Gulf War, Korea, Bosnia, Korea, and then Iraq twice.
And retired Navy Lieutenant Commander Gary Jackson.
Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was off the coast of Somalia a few times and in Afghanistan.
Army veteran Charlie Van Way served during Vietnam on the medical side. He still practices medicine part-time on top of his volunteer work.
I'm also a guide at the museum. I run a lecture series for the volunteers.
The stories told here also have a part in his family's history.
My father went to West Point just after the war, class of 1924, so he started West Point in 1920. My uncle Charlie, Charles Craig, actually served over there.
Army Lieutenant Colonel Nikki Dean retired from Fort Leavenworth this past January.
Prior to that, I've had numerous deployments from Germany to Korea, and I have been on a few occasions to both Iraq and Afghanistan.
Now she's getting her master's degree in museum studies while interning at the museum and memorial's offices.
While I was preparing to transition and retire from the U.S. Army, to do so at the National World War I Museum and Memorial is an incredibly wonderful opportunity that I was afforded by the leadership here.
Even though the veterans of World War I are long gone, these veterans work to keep their legacy alive.
You get a very good idea of how the world was at that time, which was only 100 years ago.
By learning about those who served our country before them.
Seeing whose shoulders I stood on, it's one of those quotes I always say, invention is made by standing on the shoulders of those who came before you.
They're also helping visitors understand World War I's enduring impact and make connections to the present day.
They're fighting the same kind of war in the Ukraine today that was being fought in the trenches of northeastern France in World War I.
History doesn't repeat, it rhymes.
The museum is always taking new volunteers, and while you don't have to be a veteran to help, the connections among those who have served is unique.
This new era of veterans coming in here and volunteering is, we tell them that it's just another way of talking, not about our experience, but it's a shared experience.
It's been an incredible learning experience for me as a student, but also as a former soldier.
A place to honor and remember the First World War, where today's veterans are carrying on the legacy of those before them, all right here in Kansas City.
Still to come, we're flying with the Blue Angels. We'll take you inside the cockpit and show you why the aerial stunts help bridge gaps between military and civilian life. And you'll meet a vet who hit it big and is now helping others achieve their dreams.